Hi, in this video we're going to continue looking at the parabola y equals the quantity of x plus 2 squared minus 1. And here is the picture of what we just saw where we found the intercepts by graphing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to rework the problem, but now what we're going to do is instead of, let's record this. The problem is x plus 2 squared minus 1. But what if we didn't have a graph? So we're going to find the intercepts. Find intercepts. And I don't need the graph paper, so let's turn that off. So find the intercepts. Find intercepts algebraically. That's what we say when we have to use our algebra. So find them algebraically. So let's begin. We know that X-intercepts, have y equal 0. So that's what we'll do. We'll begin by solving this. So we solve 0 equals x plus 2 squared minus 1. Then look, we can solve this by the square root method if we add 1 to both sides. So now I have 1 equals x plus 2 squared. Then we take the square root of both sides, so we're going to have a plus or minus occurring. Square root of x plus 2 squared. And now we have, on the left-hand side, we have a plus or minus 1 equals x plus 2. We subtract 2 from both sides. And now I have negative 2 plus or minus 1 equals x. And so let's come back up here. I'm going to bring this over and look at what we have. So we have one of our x values is negative 2 plus 1. That's going to be negative 1. And the other is negative 2 minus 1, which is negative 3. So our x-intercepts are the values of negative 1, 0 and negative 3, 0. And notice that that matches our answers in our last video where we were able to solve this graphically. Now, let's do this. Now we want to find our y-intercept. And remember, from what we found up above here, even at the very beginning, is the y-intercept. This occurs when the x value is 0. And in a way, it's often the easier value to calculate. So now what we do is now I'll write this. Y-intercept has x equal 0. So let's try this. So now I have y equals 0 plus 2 squared minus 1. This is going to be, we can do this really easily. 0 plus 2, that's 2, and we square it to get 4. Subtract 1, and we get 3. And so our y-intercept is at x is 0 and y is positive 3. And notice that those solutions match up above. That's exactly what we found when we did this graphically. There. Now let's take a look at something a little more challenging. Let's do this. This time, so this will be our second, actually it's our third example, but this is the second different problem. Whoops. Okay, so here we go. Problem number 2 is y equals x squared minus 4x plus 2. Now, if you were to graph this, what you would find is, and I'm going to just put this up here for us, this is just so we can see this. What you would find is, let's put our paper up. I need some graph paper for a moment. Is it has this problem, if you work through it, what you'll find is that it has its, well, let's just try this. You know what? Let's try this. Remember, we complete the square, so we would subtract 2 from both sides. So I have negative 2 plus y equals x squared minus 4x. So we take 1/2 of the 4, or the negative 4, sorry, and we get negative 2, and then we square this, and negative 2 squared, well, that is 4. So now what we do is we add 4 to both sides. So I have 4 minus 2 plus y equals x squared minus 4x plus 4. So, and I'm kind of going quick here, but because we've practiced this, but let's try this. 4 minus 2, that's 2 plus y equals, our perfect square is going to be x minus 2 squared. I'm using the negative 2 from up above. And then I subtract the 2 from both sides. I have y equals x minus 2 squared minus 2. So I have a vertex at, what do we have? We have 2 comma negative 2. So let's do this. Let's graph that. So if I go to 2, 1, 2, and negative 2, that would put my vertex right there. And so then you could graph that, and I'll graph that for us. So it looks, and you should double check that I am getting this right, but what it looks like is this. And so it goes right there. But notice this. You can't, this is not obvious. So the only way to find the actual answer or answers is to use algebra. So graphing works when if things line up just right, but they usually don't. So let's try this. So to find my X-intercepts, we'll start with those. So let's go back to our blue here. Here's my blue, and I'm going to turn off this graph paper. Okay, there we go. So now what I would do, and you can use either equation here, is we'll use this I'm going to use the bottom one. Let's see, or I'll use the top one. So now what I do is I would set this equal to 0. Oops, let me write this. So X-intercepts. X-intercepts are in general x comma 0. So that means we set y becomes 0, and then we solve the problem. X squared minus 4x, what was it? Plus 2. So you could do this a few ways. Maybe just for the sake of practice, we'll try the quadratic formula. Let's try that. So notice if we do that, we're going to use a will be 1, our b will be negative 4, and our c value is 2. So then I would say that x equals a negative b, so minus negative 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that's negative 4 squared, minus 4 times a times c. All of that is over 2 times a. So if we clean that up, we have a 4 plus or minus. Now, I always have to be careful. There's a lot going on here. Negative 4 squared is 16. And then I'm going to have a minus 8 over 2. So let's see. This is 4 plus or minus the square root of 8 over 2. And now we can simplify this. The square root of 8 is the same as 4 plus or minus 2 square root of 2 over 2. We have a common factor of 2, so factor the 2 out, and I have 2 plus or minus square root of 2 over 2. And so my final result after all that is that x equals 2 plus or minus the square root of 2. So now what is the square root of 2 is about 1.4. So if you think about that, this would be 2 plus 1.4. It's about 3.4. Let's go back and look at our picture up above. And if I turn my graph paper back on for a moment, I said 3.4. So here's 1, 2, here's 3, and here's 4. And so, yeah, that looks about like 3.4. Pretty close. But there's no way we would have guessed that. So let's come down here. We found our first part, and we'll start the problem up here now. Our X-intercepts. So we found these X-intercepts are that. So we found X-intercepts at, we have 2 of them. We have 2 minus the square root of 2 comma 0, and oops, I'm going to turn the paper off for a moment. And we have 2 plus the square root of 2 comma 0. And you can write it this way, or as you'll also see it written as 2 plus or minus square root of 2 comma 0. Either way is fine. In the first answer, we've broken out the 2 points. In the second one, we've combined them as the plus and minus. But now you understand, if you saw that kind of notation, it would make sense. Okay, we have one more piece. That's to find our y-intercept now. So remember, y-intercepts occur when x is 0. Intercepts at, in general, 0 comma y. So if we use, I'm going to use my original equation. And the reason why is, look at this. The original equation is x squared minus 4x plus 2. And then our standard form, so here's the original form. And here's my standard form. Notice the standard form is really helpful when you need a vertex or to solve for the x-intercepts. But the polynomial form is more useful when you're looking for the y-intercept. Either one works, but they do serve different. One is they have, in different situations, different forms are more helpful. So let's use that. So if I write this as y equals 0 squared minus 4 times 0, so far everything's 0. My final value was plus 2. There it is. Y equals 2. So my y-intercept is at the point 0 comma 2. And we will stop here. This video is probably getting a bit long, and in the next video we'll look at one more surprising finding. Thanks for watching.